Okay, everything that it went down in D.C., the rioters and the political unrest that continues to go on, well, those situations could have been avoided. It never should have happened. And among other things, the police probably would have done a much better job in handling the situation. Donald Trump, on the other hand, well, chances are he might have instigated the whole thing. Just like he instigated several problems that plagued us the last 4 years of his presidency. Immigration, a lot of changes that probably did not need to happen. There might have been some good things like pay increases, this, that, and the other, but other than that, well, let's just say that the presidency of Donald Trump caused America more harm than it did good. Well, speaking of which, I think most of America was wanting a change. That was why, they voted for Joe Biden in the first place. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I just happen to decide, who I feel would be the best fit for the job. Now, getting back to the events down there in D.C., it was an ongoing, civil unrest, almost a carbon copy of what happened about halfway through last year. But when it was all over with, it pretty much, came down to the same deal. Violence draws violence. Well, it's already official now. Biden is in. Trump is out. And once Trump is out, that protection he has right now, that protection is not going to be there no more. So he might end up spending the rest of his time on Earth hiding somewhere in the Trump Towers. Well, the point being is Donald Trump never should have been made president in the first place. He had no business being president. Because not only did he have a huge problem with minorities, he had a huge problem with anybody, from outside of the United States. And it does not matter, where we all come from. The reason why we're here is because some of us were born here. Some of us wanted to come here for a better life. This country was founded by those that wanted to break away from England. It was founded by aliens, right? None of us asked to be born in America. None of us asked to be born during wild and crazy times. Much depends on what happens in the next 4 years. And if we don't like what Biden does, we can vote him out. But in the meantime, the only thing we can try and do is be civil about this whole thing. Well, with the way things have been going here in the States the last 3 or 4 years, none of it made sense. The riot at the Capitol in D.C., It never should have happened. Period. There was no sense in that. Well, everything that happens in the nation's capital, let alone here at home, I mean, it wouldn't surprise anybody one bit that if it continues to go on up until the 20th. But other than that, the situation just got out of control. So out of control, in fact, even one Trump supporter almost ran me off the road sometime back in November. Election day, no doubt. Well, basically just used an acceleration lane off the freeway and then cut in front of me, just like that. But we all know the story. We all know the conclusion to that story now, don't we? It might have taken 3 or 4 days, but America spoke. Trump was out. And a few short days ago, it was official. America still had a voice. The American people wanted to change. But there are those that are still out there that will do just about anything to keep the same president, even though democracy says otherwise. But no matter how you look at it, politics is a very tricky thing. But it becomes even more tricky when several things happen, like causing all kinds of unrests around the country. It more or less became a near repeat of the 60s, right? The country was already tearing itself apart then, and in recent years, same thing. America just found another way of tearing itself apart. But after all, trying to live our lives as best we can without fearing the backlash from some of the American public. Well, there is one thing you can do. Just try not to let it get to you. Be careful of some of the things that you say and do. But I think after Biden takes over sometime this year, well, hopefully he can undo the damage that Trump had caused. The people have spoken. Learn to live with it. Ain't no such thing as make America great anymore. Because this time, Biden can make it right. He's got 4 years to prove himself. And if nothing improves by then, 4 years from now, then we can get him out. But in the meantime, try and stay civil. Keep a cool head. We're still in a pandemic that just won't quit. So that the thing to do, continue to stay safe. Continue wearing your masks. Stay 6 feet away from the next person. And most of all, make sure you practice personal hygiene. I think after they take care of those with priority patients like first responders, doctors, nurses, the elderly especially, and until it becomes our turn to get vaccinated, let's try and stay safe, but most of all, keep the peace. Thank you.